Rick. So now for more on this, let's go to somebody right on the front lines there in the United States Senate, Democratic Senator Martin Heinrich from New Mexico. Thanks for being with us, Senator.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So the Republicans and the leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, they have a blanket objection to what this bill is about. They have essentially accused the Democrats, your party, trying to stage a federal takeover of the entire voting system. McConnell has said that claims of racism have been debunked, and he points to high African-American turnout last fall. So what's your response to that?
Well, I think many of these state laws were in direct response to high African-American turnout last fall. And there is one party that is trying to consistently take voting access away from Black, brown, and young voters, because we saw in COVID, when you make it easy for people to show up to the polls, they do. And I think that is the threat, along with the sort of conspiracy Kool-Aid from Donald Trump, that has put the Republican Party where they are on fighting voting rights at the moment.
Senator, what do you think of Senator Manchin's changes to this bill, including his proposal for voter ID requirements?
Well, I think the devil's in the details there in terms of how you define it. If it's only a federal ID or a state-issued driver's license, that's something that a lot of my constituents in very rural tribal communities, et cetera, oftentimes don't have. But my understanding of the conversations is that it goes a lot further than that, an electric bill, for example, could be used to get access to the polls. We've shown that we can do elections in New Mexico without voter ID and make them accurate, be able to run the audits to show that we don't have voter fraud. But if we're going to have some compromise, that's fine. We have to start from the point that the right to vote by every lawful American is not something that you should be able to take away with a state law.
If this were just a party line vote, Senator, the Democrats would win. There's 50 Democrats, and the vice president would cast a decisive vote. But, of course, we're looking at the filibuster here. So Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona, Democrat, she made news today with her op-ed in the Washington Post opposing the filibuster, pouring cold water on the idea that Democrats could get rid of those rules in order to advance their agenda. And here's what she writes. She writes, my support for retaining the 60-vote threshold, that's the filibuster, is not based on the importance of any particular policy. It's based on what's best for our democracy. The filibuster, she says, compels moderation and helps protect the country from wild swings between opposing policy poles. So, Senator, you've spoken out in favor of ending the filibuster. What do you make of her argument? It's the classic argument that the Senate, the world's greatest debating society or whatever, has to come together in a way no other body does. What do you think about her argument?
I just don't think it stands up to the moment or the facts of its impact today as it's being used in the United States Senate. I've seen the filibuster bring people together. That's not what's happening at the moment. It's being used to prevent any progress whatsoever, and it's largely being used by Mitch McConnell to from a point of view that says he would rather see the president fail than the country succeed. So I think you have to consider the fact that the filibuster was not a rule in the Senate for many years before it was created. It is a rule, and the right to vote is a right. And in my view, rights should trump rules. It is more important to protect the constitutional rights of lawful Americans to be able to cast a ballot than a rule that has really shown that it is, at this point, being abused more often than not.
And Senator, regardless, today's vote is not expected to pass. Senator Schumer says he wants to hold the vote anyway to show Americans that, in his words, Republicans are actively making it harder for people to vote. Do you think this time would be better spent working on legislation that does stand a chance of passing?
I think everyone around here can walk and chew gum at the same time. I will say this is an existential issue, and we know where the Republicans stand. We know that they're going to fight even having this debate because they don't want to have this debate. But I believe this is round one in a long boxing match. And I think the American people can see from this debate who's on what side. My view is get caught trying, but we're going to come back. And I actually think that the days of the filibuster, irrespective of my colleagues who I respect, the days of the filibuster is numbered. At some point, we are going to be able to pass these reforms and have the kind of access to the ballot box for lawful Americans that we saw last year in the election. And that is what has the Republicans united against this.
Do you worry about the ramifications of getting rid of the filibuster if Democrats then down the road don't hold the majority?
Look, it will cut both ways. There's no doubt about that. But elections should have consequences. And I have served in city council, I've served in the House of Representatives, and I've served in the Senate. I wouldn't say that the Senate is more functional because of the filibuster than the city council that I served on. So I think this is a debate we need to have. And the American people and my constituents in New Mexico expect us to deliver results. And the filibuster is keeping us from delivering results.
All right, New Mexico Senator Martin Heinrich, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
It's great to be with you.